Hello everyone, welcome to the Stealing Insights YouTube channel. Today we'll be dialoguing on a fascinating thing in respect to how to count the number of items that you have been given in a Microsoft Excel. So like this data that we're having before us is the list of the continents in the world, but what is being required of us is that there has been a responsibility to note how many times does Africa appear, how many times does Asia appear, how many times does North America appear, and we need to also get the total number of data that are currently present, distinct data that are present. So the first thing to do in order to utilize this is just to click on this drop down, copy and paste this on a new cell. Once you paste that, you can go to data. From data, remove duplicate. When you remove duplicate, you have the distinct cells, distinct items that you're actually looking out for. So these are the things that we are looking out for in the list of continents. So these are the 7 continents that we have been given. In order to know the count of the number of times they appear, is just as simple as saying equality sign, count if is the formula to use. You open bracket, you can see range. The range means you select the range of cell that you want to work with, then you press Ctrl Shift and the arrow down button in order to highlight all. That's the range. The next thing for you to do is to make sure it is a absolute reference cell. I will explain that in details later, but to get that you can just put F4. Once you press F4, it turns it into an absolute referencing range. Then comma to separate it from the criteria. So the criteria you are looking for in that range of cell is in E2, which is the Africa. So the E2, then you close the bracket and you enter. Immediately you do this and you click on this, you click on the cell, you double click on that arrow, it gives you the response immediately. So instead of counting Africa like that and you start typing, or you are doing in this cell, you want to look for Africa, instead of you going through that stress, you say find all, and it's telling you it has 58 cell. You input 58. It tells you that maybe you want to look for Europe. You now type Europe, find all. It tells you that it is 93. You write 90, the number of times Europe appear, and you start writing that. Now you need to note that what you ought to do is just as simple as what has been done. Now let me give an explanation or a clarification about this absolute referencing. Let's assume that we are using the same method. We use count if and we open the bracket. When you open the bracket, we are selecting the range of cell, which is this, the range of cell that I want to make use of. Which is this, and you put comma, then E2, and you close the bracket, you press enter. Now when you look at the response that we've gotten here, you see that it's 58, which is the same thing as this. When you double click this box, this icon, you see that it gives you these values here. Now when you check this response, you have B2 and B101. When you check this, it's also giving you B2 and B101. When you come here, you see that it's still B2, but when you come to down here, it is now B3, meaning it's not giving cognizance to the first cell here, which is for Africa, in order to get this value that we are talking about here. And if you check the next one here, it's showing B4, meaning it starts picking its references from here, from before to 1003, in which 1002, 1003 does not have any cell, it's empty. Same thing applies to the Australia. You realize that it start picking it from B5. But when you are talking about the absolute referencing locks the cell. Now, if you want to learn better and expanded knowledge of what an absolute referencing is, you can go back to what we've taught in about absolute referencing in the past, in the early stage of our Excel playlist. You realize that one of the things that we spoke about there is that absolute referencing means when you put the first dollar before the column, it means you are locking the column, and this you are locking the row. That's what it means. Each of the dollar sign before the actual value that you are quoting in terms of the cell locks it. So even if you want to lock the column alone, you just put it one, and if you want to lock the row, you put it in between the two digits, or the alphabet and the digits. So I hope this is able to bring about the clarification that you actually require. So please note, one of the things that you must not do is that you should just pick up this value and just search and just do a double click. It's not going to give you an accurate figure, even if these are going the same way, because these data are aligned. In a case whereby the data are not well arranged, let me make a distortion to this data for you to see the difference in what I'm talking about. So now, after making distortion on this data and this, you realize that the data has now changed. North America is now 199. Australia is now 191, because when you are considering North America is not giving cognizance to B2. I hope this clarifies what I was talking about before. So North America does not give cognizance to B2. That's the reason it's reduced by 1. Now, Australia does not give cognizance to B3, because the first Australia that occurred there is that. However, immediately this cell is being put in absolute referencing, just like the other one, you realize that the changes will be effective and every other thing will take the right course. So if you like what we've actually taught you based on the clarification that has been given on COUNTIF in order to make your work easy and every other thing, give our videos a thumbs up, and ensure to subscribe. Share with those that may be having difficulty searching and putting the answer and the likes, instead of just doing it in few seconds. Thank you for listening, and bye bye.